Setting boundaries with a narcissist can be one of the most challenging, yet essential, tasks for maintaining your emotional well-being and preserving your sense of self. Narcissists, by definition, possess an inflated sense of self-importance, an excessive need for admiration, and a chronic lack of empathy. These traits can make any form of relationship with them draining and confusing. Whether the narcissist in your life is a family member, a partner, a coworker, or a friend, learning how to effectively set and maintain boundaries with them is crucial for protecting your mental and emotional health. Let's start by acknowledging that dealing with a narcissist can feel like trying to tame a whirlwind. Narcissists are skilled manipulators who will often push boundaries, test limits, and try to assert control. They thrive on attention and power, and many will use guilt, gaslighting, and even outright aggression to maintain a hold over those in their orbit. However, even though the challenge can seem daunting, setting firm and clear boundaries is not only possible but necessary. The first tip when setting boundaries with a narcissist is to deeply understand the nature of narcissism. Many people make the mistake of thinking that narcissists can be reasoned with in the same way as others, or that their toxic behaviors will improve with enough patience or love. Unfortunately, narcissism isn't simply a phase or a character flaw that can be smoothed out with time. It's an entrenched personality disorder. The narcissist's needs for validation and superiority are so overwhelming that they are unable to see beyond them. This isn't to suggest that narcissists are completely devoid of human emotions or that they're incapable of change. But their capacity for empathy and self-awareness is significantly compromised. Accepting this reality will help you manage your expectations and approach boundary setting with a clear head. Setting boundaries with a narcissist requires you to be consistent. Narcissists, by nature, will challenge and test any limits placed on them. One of the key traits of narcissistic behavior is a lack of respect for the needs or boundaries of others. If you give an inch, they will take a mile, and then make you feel guilty for not giving more. Being firm in your boundaries means that you have to decide in advance what your limits are and stick to them, regardless of the pressure, manipulation, or emotional blackmail that might come your way. Let's imagine, for example, you set a boundary that you will not engage in conversations when the narcissist starts yelling or using insults. The first time you set this boundary, it's almost guaranteed that the narcissist will either laugh it off, escalate their behavior, or try to make you feel guilty for even suggesting such a thing. The important part is that you stick to your boundary. If the narcissist begins yelling or insulting, you leave the conversation, end the phone call, or remove yourself from the situation. It may take repeated efforts, but over time, the narcissist will realize that this boundary isn't flexible. Consistency is key here. Each time you hold firm, you are reinforcing the boundary, and eventually, the narcissist will learn that their attempts to bulldoze over you won't work. It's essential to remember that narcissists feed on emotional reactions. They thrive when they can provoke anger, fear, guilt, or confusion in others. One of the most effective ways to set boundaries with a narcissist is to master emotional detachment. This is often referred to as gray rock behavior in discussions around narcissistic abuse. Essentially, this means you become as boring and unresponsive as a gray rock when the narcissist attempts to push your buttons. If you're able to keep your emotions in check and remain neutral, it can frustrate the narcissist's attempts to manipulate or control you. For example, if they're trying to provoke you with insults or accusations, respond with calm, simple, and unemotional statements like, "I'm sorry you feel that way," or, "Let's revisit this later." This can deprive the narcissist of the emotional drama they crave. Another key to setting boundaries with a narcissist is learning the power of saying no and not explaining yourself. Narcissists often push people into justifying their decisions, knowing that by doing so, they can poke holes in the logic and eventually manipulate the outcome. If you find yourself constantly defending or explaining your decisions to a narcissist, it's a sign that you're allowing them too much control over your thoughts and actions. Practice the art of saying no without adding any justifications. For example, if the narcissist in your life insists on spending time with you when you need space, simply say, "No, that doesn't work for me," and leave it at that. They may press for reasons, but you don't owe them any. Remember, a boundary doesn't require the other person's approval to be valid. An important aspect of boundary setting with a narcissist is to develop a strong sense of self. Narcissists have a way of eroding their victims' confidence and self-worth over time. Their constant need for validation often involves putting others down to feel superior, and over time, this can take a toll on your self-esteem. Before you can effectively set boundaries, you need to rebuild your own identity and self-worth. This involves reminding yourself of your values, your goals, and your worth as an individual. Take time to engage in activities that bring you joy and fulfillment outside of your interactions with the narcissist. Surround yourself with supportive people who affirm your worth and help you maintain a balanced perspective. Maintaining healthy boundaries also involves recognizing when to disengage entirely. While many relationships with narcissists are complicated by family ties, shared responsibilities, or social pressures, sometimes the healthiest boundary you can set is complete detachment. In some cases, the narcissist in your life may never respect your boundaries, no matter how clearly or consistently you set them. If you find that the relationship is consistently damaging your emotional or psychological health, it may be necessary to cut ties entirely. This can be an extremely difficult decision, especially if the narcissist is a close family member or partner, but sometimes it is the only way to truly protect yourself. This is not a failure on your part, rather, it's a reflection of your commitment to your own well-being. It's also crucial to prepare yourself for the inevitable backlash that will come when you start setting boundaries with a narcissist. Narcissists do not like being told, no. They have an intense need for control and can react with anger, frustration, or even revenge when they feel that control slipping away. Be prepared for pushback. The narcissist may try to punish you with the silent treatment, guilt trips, or personal attacks. They may even escalate their bad behavior to force you into submission. Stay calm and stick to your boundaries. The more they push, the more you need to hold firm. Remember, their reactions are not a reflection of you or your worth, they're a reflection of their inability to handle not being in control. Part of the process of setting boundaries with a narcissist is recognizing that you may never get the closure or resolution you hope for. Narcissists rarely admit fault or take responsibility for their actions, and seeking validation or understanding from them is often a futile endeavor. This is why it's so important to find closure and peace within yourself, rather than seeking it from the narcissist. You may never get the apology or acknowledgement you deserve, but that doesn't mean you can't move forward with a sense of self-respect and dignity. As you work to set and maintain boundaries with a narcissist, it's crucial to prioritize your mental and emotional well-being. Narcissists can be relentless in their attempts to break down boundaries, but remember that you have the power to protect yourself. Establishing firm boundaries is not about controlling the narcissist's behavior, because ultimately, you cannot control anyone's behavior but your own. Instead, it's about controlling your own responses, protecting your emotional energy, and asserting your right to be treated with respect and dignity. Lastly, don't be afraid to seek professional support when dealing with a narcissist. Therapy can be incredibly helpful in navigating the complexities of these relationships. A therapist can provide you with tools to build emotional resilience, develop stronger boundaries, and heal from the emotional wounds that narcissistic abuse often leaves behind. Even if you feel like you're managing well on your own, having an external, objective voice to help guide you through the process can be invaluable. In conclusion, setting boundaries with a narcissist is a process that requires patience, resilience, and self-awareness. It's not a one-time event, but rather an ongoing practice of standing up for your needs and protecting your emotional health. By understanding the nature of narcissism, being consistent in your boundaries, mastering emotional detachment, learning to say no without explaining, building a strong sense of self, and recognizing when to disengage, you can navigate the complexities of these relationships with greater confidence and peace of mind. Ultimately, setting boundaries is an act of self-love and respect, and while it may be challenging, it's essential for maintaining your well-being in the face of narcissistic behavior.